Yo, what's up guys, this is Zelly and this is the start of my No I Am No Wrong Warp tutorial. Now this is going to cover getting set up in the basic movement of the game. If you know how to get set up or you're already set up, you can skip to about halfway through and get to the basic movement. But let's get started. So I'm going to start off with basics, and first off we play in Japanese. Japanese is much faster than English. Now the text scroll the same speed, but in Japanese you can display a single word with one kanji sign, making the game much faster. Minutes. Now you got to pick a controller, and I would say the most three common controllers are N64 controllers, GameCube controllers, and Classic Controller Pros. They all have adapters that you can use to switch consoles. They all have a little bit different of a button layout and a different feel, so it's all your personal preference on what you want to do there. Now we're going to go into picking a console. Now there's a lot of big differences with the consoles, and I'll go over them here. And it's usually what you have access to is what you're going to run with first, but if you have a preference or the options too, these are the options, are the most common, I would say. The first is Nintendo 64. Now Nintendo 64 is obviously the OG of OG consoles. It's the original hardware it was supposed to be ran on. It's authentic. Now it has a lot of lag as opposed to Virtual Console, so you will lose a lot of time in lag. It's got faster resets, and there are a few very specific 1.0 glitches that make certain categories faster for this console. Now on this console, depending on what cartridge you have, you'll have a different version, and the best way to differentiate those versions is on the back of your cart. There will be a little indent usually on the top right side. There's a number indent, and it's kind of hard to see, but basically it's going to have two numbers and no letter, two numbers and an A, or two numbers and a B, represented by the X's. Now if you have just two numbers, then that's 1.0. If you have two numbers and an A, that's 1.1, two numbers and a B, that's 1.2. Now if you have a 1.0 cart, you're in luck. That's usually what you want if you're running on N64, is you want a 1.0 cart. And once again, you want it in Japanese. And in order to play Japanese cartridges on your American N64, you're going to have to take off the back and replace it with an American back, or you can take off the little dust flaps basically on your N64, both of which are really easy to do. Now, the Nintendo GameCube isn't really a sought-after console for this category. It's usually used for like Master Quest. The dead zone's different, pause buffering's different, resets are really slow. So overall, it's not really a desired contender, but I figured I'd might as well show it. Now, the Wii VC is what I personally use, and I know a lot of other runners use it. You're going to need a Nintendo Wii, and you're going to need to soft mod that Wii. Just YouTube it. It's really easy to do. I won't show it how to do it here, but it's really easy. Now it's got slower resets, but it has a lot less lag than Nintendo 64. The dead zone on the controller is a lot different than N64, so it's going to be much harder to get a position on your control stick called S position. I'll explain what that is later in the tutorials, but know that it does make a difference. Another benefit of the Wii VC is that you can get codes called Gecko codes for your OOT, which gives you like infinite bombs and a lot of codes and cheats that help you practice a lot easier than on other consoles, other than emulator, which I'm about to show. But overall, it's a really great console, and I recommend it. And finally, if you're balling on a budget and you need something free and you just want to see if you like speedrunning Zelda, you can download Project 64. Version 1.7 is preferable. Do not get the 2.0 versions. They don't emulate the game correctly, more or less. Now, a good benefit to emulator is that you get to use save states. And for practice, it's a godsend, because you can load the game at the exact state in which you saved it at, hence the name. And it's a lot faster than having to go set up, go reload the dungeon, reset, things like that. And that's what I'm recording this tutorial on, so it's a cool tool for practicing for sure. I don't recommend doing runs with it because pause buffering is kind of shitty. But anyway. When you're talking about which console's fastest and which route is easiest, the 1.0 routes for N64 are technically a little bit faster than the 1.2 VC route. The VC route, in my opinion, though, is much less risky, and you'll have a lot less resets with the 1.2 route. The 1.0 route has a few moments where if you break a stick at a certain spot, or you mess up certain little things, that it basically warrants a reset. So that's my opinion on it. People may feel different. All right, so now I'm going to go over basic movement. And by basic movement, I mean how to roll, back walking, side hop, side rolling, back flipping, and what all those things mean and why we use them. So the first thing we're going to go over is rolling. And when you're rolling, what you want to do is you want to space out your rolls so that you roll every time Link stands up on his 2 feet is when you want to start your next roll. And these are the best for moving short distances and where you got to change angles a lot. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to mash rolls like this. If you mash rolls, you can see that I'm not really getting anywhere very fast. It's not a good look, man. For back walking, what you want to do is you want to line up the middle of Link's hat right in the middle of wherever you want to head towards, and then you want to flick back on your control stick, and then you want to press target, and then hold down on your control stick. Pretty easy stuff. To do side hops, what we want to do is we want to just hold L or Z, and we want to flick left or right and press A. For backflips, you press down while holding target and press A. Now the thing about backflips and side rolls is that they're always going to be the same distance when you're on flat ground. So we use these a lot to do certain measurements and distances to achieve setups and angles that we need for certain tricks. So it's very good to get used to these basic mechanics. Now these are dry rolls. Now doing dry rolls, you just hold L or Z and then press A without pushing anything. To do side rolls, when you side hop left or right, you're going to have a side roll stored basically if you keep holding L, and the direction of your side hop dictates which way the side roll goes. So if you side hop to the left, you'll side roll to the left. If you side hop to the right, you'll side roll to the right. If you backflip, you'll always do a right side roll, but it's a steeper side roll. If you flick your shield or you retarget after side hopping, you'll return to a dry roll. And the same goes for the backflip. To do a jump slash on the ground, you want to hold L and then press A, or if you're in the air, you just press B to jump slash. Now I'm going to go over shield turning. Now we need to turn very specific angles in this game at certain points. And in order to do that, you can either do an S turn, which I'm going to show in a second, flick right on your control stick, which is a little risky, or you can do shield turns like this. In order to do shield turns, you just want to hold R, flick a direction, and then let go of R and repress R really fast. And you'll get perfect degree turns. Now you want to do this fast, otherwise your camera will start panning and you won't get a perfect turn. You can always just repress Z to relock the camera from panning. Now like I said, you can also do S turns. And in order to do an S turn, you're first going to need to learn what S position is. And S stands for extended super slide, and that's slightly off left or right of the center of your control stick. In order to know you have that, you can shift your control stick, and if Link starts moving in place like this, that means that you have S position locked in correctly. Now, in order to do an S turn, you want to press Z, hold S right or left or down or any direction, and then let go, and Link will automatically stop at 90 degrees or 180, depending on where you're angling the stick. Now, during setups for S position, we need to do these things called S frames or clicks, whatever you call them. And in order to do these, you want to like slightly tap the S position on your controller, and Link will move in these little click formations like this. And those will always be the same increment of measurement. So if you just get used to slightly tapping on your control stick and moving Link these little S clicks, it will help a lot. So overall, that's the basic terms and movement of the game. I'll explain super slides and explosive tricks while the tutorial is going on, but that's basically it, guys.